everybody, and welcome to Simply Cards by Kathi. I'm Kathi, and today is Thursday, the 16th of January, 2025. And I have an easy but a fun card for you, and I'm really excited to share the bundle. We're going to be using the Spring Corners bundle, which is a new online exclusive that came out on January 7th. So I hope to give you some different ideas of how to use that. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy you found me. I hope you'll like what you see. And if you are with me live or you catch the replay, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be a part of my stamping community. So I have a lot to show you. So I am going to flip the camera down to my desktop and we're going to get started. Okay, there we go. A little bit on the crooked side, but we'll straighten that out. So I want to show you a version of the card we're going to make. This is the card. We are using the dies from this Spring Corners bundle, and we're using the corner greetings or sentiments, and there's some really neat images and greetings in here. So I'm excited to show this to you, but I'm going to show you a couple different ways you can use these. So let me move this off to the side here. And I'm going to bring in the stamps and the dies because I cut a few things out to show you. So this is a photopolymer stamp set, and you have different fonts, which really make it fun. And you have a few images on here, but even on this card that I showed you, you can see I use this corner image. Let me bring that up for you to see here. That corner image, and look how you're able to just kind of add a little something to either the inside or outside corner edges. So we're going to be using that, and we're going to make a birthday card, but I'm excited to show you these dies because they're different. So you have like a sunburst. You have balloons, which go along with one of the stamps. You have different size hearts, and you have a heart for the small ones here, a small bouquet, and then you have these detailed dies that are really gorgeous. This is the one we're going to use today. So we're going to take that out, but we're also using these on the inside. Now you have 3 different edge dies, and I want to show these to you. This is one, and it's like a little flower, and this is what it looks like. So you could use that on the edge of a layer or right on the edge of your cardstock. So that's one. I'm going to leave that here. If you die cut this one, you're going to get like a scallops with die cut circles. So another great corner edge to use. And then this one is the one we're using today. And you actually get 2 of these, which is, if I can get them, really nice. And we're going to use this here, and I went ahead and cut this for our inside layer. Now I wanted to show you this because this actually cuts the leaves out, but then you get these little flower petals that they can lay flat or pop up, but they don't punch out. They're just cut around the edges, and they're just so delicate and pretty. So those are your corner dies. So let's put these away, and we're going to get started. I'm going to move this off to the side here. So one of the, from our card base, I decided to go with basic black, and this is 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So, and I wanted to pair it with a light yellow, so I'm using Lemon Lolly. This is 4 by 5 1/4. And then we're going to use a basic white layer that's 3 3/4 by 5. Now, a couple different things you can do with this. I went ahead and I die cut one of those flowers, and it's right here. I just simply positioned it where I thought I'd want it on my layer and die cut it out. I want to use this as a stencil. So there's different ways you can do that. Now on the card I showed you earlier, and it's here somewhere, here it is. I actually covered this with a stencil, and it's a mess, so I threw it out. But I covered it and I actually colored right onto the lemon lolly cardstock using blending brushes. And to do that, I have to admit that was a little hard. Hi, William. Thanks for joining. I used some Post-it notes and I kind of worked my way around covering up so that I could use the blending brushes. It worked well. I liked the way it colored, but I think it was a harder way to do it. So I'm going to do two different things. I'm going to show you daubers that you can use to color this. I'm also going to use my blends, and this is going to be my template for coloring. So yes, it's going to get a colored mess, but it's something you can use over and over again. So let me show you what we're going to do with this white. So with this, we are going to cut another one out. So let me do that now, because this is our template, and I need one that I'm going to emboss. So to do that, I am going to simply line this up. And I'm going to match my two pieces of basic white cardstock. Now, if you weren't going to color this image, it really doesn't matter if they match or not. You're just going to cut it out. And you could lay this over just yellow and leave it like that. You could emboss the layer, and that could be your two layers that you're going to mount on your basic black or whatever color you choose. But I want to add some color, and I also want to emboss my white layer. So to do that, I'm going to match these up, the two white, and I'm simply going to position this where I've cut my my flower. And that's really pretty easy to do. I'm lining them up, and then I'm just going to work this around a little bit till I get where I feel it's lined up pretty well. And that looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is lift up my top layer, and I'm going to take a piece of tape, and I'm going to tape this down, because then I'm going to run it through my cut and emboss machine to die cut that out. Okay, so I'm going to just run right, I'm not running, in fact, I'm turning around right behind me, and I'm going to die cut this. So let's do that. So I'm hoping with this project to show you a variety of ways to use these corner dies, and especially this floral one. Okay. Bring this back. And when I bring it back, I'm using tape that's really low tack, that's easy to remove, but it's going to take a lot of those die cut pieces out with it so that I have a nice clean image. Look at that. All right. So there is our image. Now let's see what happens if we line these up. How close are they going to be? Look at that. Really close. They match perfectly. Before I use this to one for a top layer, I want to put in wishing you an amazing day. This is a birthday card. So to do that, I have one of the stamps from the die stamp set. You can see it's in a right angle. Now I've gone ahead and I had lined this up. But if you were doing this, I'm using a stamping tool to help. You would simply lay your white piece or whatever color cardstock you're going to use, take your stamp, lay it where you want it positioned on your layer, and then simply come down and pick it up. Now, the reason I'm using this is I want it to be nice and straight, but also if I don't get good coverage, I can come back and re-ink this. So let's go ahead and let's do that. I'm going to use Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and I'm just going to ink this up. So I hope you're all warm and having a good day. I'm in Northeast Ohio, and we are really cold and very snowy. All day we were without internet up until about 5:30, so I wasn't really sure I was going to get to do this. So I'm glad it came back on and I could be with you. So you can see I'm just going to lay that down, and I'm just going to give it a nice pressure with my finger. And look at that. I don't think we even need to go over it. You have this great sentiment along the edge of your card or layer. So I'm going to move this off to the side. Now I want this layer embossed. I want it to have some depth and some texture. So I thought for this, I would like to use the Distressed Tile embossing folder. And I have it here somewhere on my desk. But it'll show up, so we'll emboss that in a minute. So what I want to do now is show you what we're going to do with this other layer. So we have our basic black cardstock. We're going to move that card base over. And now I'm going to take, remember this is my mask. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line that up. Now, I did start one to show you what it would look like with using the daubers. So I did part of it, but I want to give you some ideas for finishing it up. So if you're using your mask, I'm working on my glass mat, which I love. Work on whatever you have. You can even take a piece of cardstock, like the hard cardstock that comes with our designer series paper, and use that to work on. So I've lined these up, and I'm going to take a piece of tape. Hi, Diane. Thank Southeast Ohio. So you're windy too with flurries. We've got about 5 inches of snow today. So thank you for joining. So I'm going to tape these down because I want to secure them. I want to be able to focus on my coloring. Now, if you're using daubers, the colors I chose were Mossy Meadow, Pecan Pie, and Daffodil Delight. So you can see I've done some of the flowers, but I want to show you how I'd finish up. So I would take some Post-it notes or whatever you may have, and I'm going to go ahead and mark off or protect some of my image. So I'm just going to lay this down over it. And I'm going to take another one and I'm going to lay it here. Now, I'm going to use my dauber, and I have one for yellows. And I'm simply going to come in here and dab that flower. And I'm just going up and down lightly. If you want more color, come back in, dab again. And you're going to be able to get the colors that you want. You can go back over it as much as you want to get it dark. So let's do the leaves, and so that you can see what that image is going to look like finished. Hi, Florence. Thank you for watching. Oh, and you're from Guam where it's warm and sunny. Lucky you. We are far from warm and sunny. So I'm going to cover that there. I'm going to take another one and I'm going to cover my flower, or at least part of it. I'm going to come in with my Mossy Meadow and I'm just going to dab. I just want to get some color in there. And remember, this is my stencil, so it's going to be a mess, and that's okay. You can reuse it over and over again. And you can add as much color as you want. So let's take these off and see what we have. All right. All right. Your stencil you can use again and again. And you have this really pretty colored image using the daubers. Now, I showed you the one I did with blending brushes, but for this card, I'm going to do something even different. I'm going to color directly on my lemon lolly. So this is my matte, because this is going to be my layer. And I'm going to tape this down. And then we're going to color using Stampin' Blends. So 3 different ways you can add color to this. And remember, you could just die cut that out and leave it right on a colored layer piece, a piece of colored cardstock, a layer of colored cardstock. So let's go ahead and I'm going to move these ink pads out of the way. And I'm going to come in with my blends. Now I'm using pecan pie. Ooh, look at that. What a mess. I don't know what happened with that. I opened it up. Oh, and look at our front. Oh, it splashed all over. Oh boy. All right. Well, things happen. We're going to go with it. And if we have to, we'll do another front. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to go ahead and color in with my blends my image. Now I'm just going to use the dark for this. And then I'm going to come in with my Daffodil Delight. And I'm going to color, but I want to blend. So I'm just going to start down at the bottom, adding some Daffodil Delight. And I'm using my stencil. And I'm just doing straight brush marks. I'm not scrubbing the paper. And I'm just going to start from where it was and pull forward. And you can see, I'm going to hold this up for you. It's blending the color. So we're going to get this done. So you're going to have a richer color with the blends than you probably are. You're going to have a softer color when you're using your daubers or using your blending brushes. I grabbed the yellow. Let's go back to the brown. If you hear noise in the background, it's my 2 Goldens. They are fussing with one another. Now I'm going to come back in with my Daffodil Delight, the dark one, and just add some color at the base of each petal. And then I'm just going to pull it through with my dark lemon lolly. So really easy. Now you could let it go and just have like partial color to your petals, but I really like that blended color look. So let's finish that. Okay, that looks good. Now we're ready to add our Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to use the dark for this. And just pull through. I'm not looking for perfection. I want this to almost look like it's lightly painted, and I want some rich colors to this, which is why I used my blends. I am holding the stencil down so that I don't get any leakage of color under it. And we're almost done here. When I use my blends, I'm very light-handed, just almost like I'm a wisp or pulling through. All right, let's take that off and see what we have. I know, Diane, that front came out so, I'm so happy with it, is ruined, but that's kind of what happens. So we're going to do another one. Now, if this had not been ruined, look how this would fit over that. And you have this color, layer of color under here. So let's cut another piece and, or actually, let's use, we'll cut another piece and see if we can get this right this time without any blends doing it. I've never had that happen before. I don't know what happened. So again, we're going to use this as a template. For those of you that joined late, I cut one as a stencil or a template. I'm going to layer it over the second piece of 3 3/4 by 5. Then I'm going to take my die and I'm going to lay it up under here and position it so that it lines up with this die cut. And it looks like it might be hard to do, but it really isn't. You're going to lay it down and then you're just going to kind of work it slightly so that it fits within this die. And you'll be able to see how easy this is to do. And it lines up really pretty. You want your 2 pieces of cardstock to be edge to edge on both sides and on the bottom in order for this to line up. And then I'm just going to scoot this back a little bit. And that looks pretty good. Let's see here. Can I bump that up just a little bit? So this was really important for me to line up because I wanted to do that extra coloring. So let's see if we've got that now. Went so easy the first time. I think William was with me for that, and it did go easy. Now it's not going to go so easy. So let's line these up, and that looks okay. And we're just going to edge that, take the edge and kind of nudge it so that we get it lined up. A little bit more. There we go. That's good. So you can see how it's lined up. Now I'm simply going to hold down and pick this up, and we're going to tape this down. And I am going to go ahead and turn around and die cut this again. So let's do that quickly. And we'll see, since we don't use the blends this time around, it should be okay. Okay, so let's come back. And again, I'm using low tack tape. And because I've taped it, when I pull this back, it has all of my die cut pieces with it. So I have this beautiful die cut image. So we're ready to do our greeting again. So I'm going to bring in my stamping tool. This measures 3 3/4 by 5. And prior to stamping, I put my paper in here and positioned where I wanted my corner greeting to go, and so that it was ready when we did this. I'm going to hold this down And we're going to come on in here and just re-ink this a second time. Best laid plans, huh? Now, I like the stamping tool because if I want or need to restamp, I can just re-ink and it's still in the right position. But look at that. Look how pretty that is. I love that corner greeting. So I want to add some dimension to this. So I'm going to use my distressed tile embossing folder. And I'm going to bring it in here and I'm simply going to line up my bottom edge with this black line along the front of the embossing folder. The front of your embossing folders always has the Stampin' Up! Logo on it, and that little line helps you to line it up straight. So let's go ahead and I'm going to run this through. This is a 3D embossing folder. So in order to emboss this, you're going to use plate 1. And you're going to use the gray plate number 4. And you simply set them on top and then you're ready to roll. Okay, so I want you to take a look at this. You now have your die cut image. You have your greeting already on here and it still looks great with the embossing. Right. William, you are so right. We do make plans and God laughs. So, and this is how we're going to layer this on this lemon lolly piece of cardstock that we colored in with our blends. So I'm going to use some multi-purpose glue. I like the glue when particularly when I'm dry embossing, because you lose some surface area with all these little crevices and nooks and crannies. And I find that the glue gets in there and it holds the edges down a little bit better. At least for me, it's what works. So I'm going to add this. I'm going to add a little bit of glue around this die cut image and then make sure I get my edges good. And I'm just going to add some in the middle. Now, here's our lemon lolly that we colored with our blends. And take a look at the coloring. You can see some of the distinctive edges. And it's not as crisp because they're alcohol, so some of the ink spreads. But what I love about it is that it looks so, I don't know, natural, I guess is a good word. Let me line this up here again. Make sure I have a nice edge. Bring that over a little bit. That's also what I like about the glue is it lets you slide. Which is a little bit harder to do when you have the embossed layer. There we go. So here is our lemon lolly with our basic white embossed layer with our stencil where we were able to cut or able to color in our flower. Now let's mount this on our black. And I always think yellow and black with white or black with white and pink looks so striking. So let's mount this here. This is going to be the front of our card. Okay, so there's the front. Now let's look at the inside and then we'll add some gems. For the inside, I chose another layer of lemon lolly. But this time, remember, I used those corner dies to die cut or partially die cut, and it kind of punches out the flower and the flower stays intact. Again, these were these little dies of which you get 2, and I just placed them in opposite corners. Now, what you can do with this is you could take these little flowers and probably if I were going to do that, I would use the bullet point of my blends, or I'd use my Stampin' Right markers and just color in the little floral petals and leave everything else as is. But I'm going to use it just like it is, and I'm going to stamp my greeting. And my greeting is simply happy birthday, because my front says wishing you an amazing day. And then we're going to add happy birthday. So let's come in and add that. And again, I kind of line things up. And I want to add just a little something more. I'm going to add this little flower right along the side here. So let's make sure we have that inked up well. And I'm just going to come in here and add that right here. And for this, I'm going to use my blends, but I'm going to use my bullet point just to add a little color to the petals. And I'm not even going to spend a lot of time doing it. I'm just adding a touch of color, which is really easy to do with that bullet point. Okay, now for the tops, I'm going to come back in with this pecan pie, but I'm going to open it behind me in case it splatters. And just going to do the tips of those flowers. And I'm going to lift this up for you to see. And then for my leaves, I've got my mossy meadow. And again, just using the bullet point, adding just a little bit of color. And we're ready to add this to our lemon lolly layer. So I'm going to make sure I get my edges around that die cut, otherwise they're going to lift. And that looks good. So let's pop this down. And we're ready to adhere this to the inside of our card. Now for the gems for the outside, I have those here. We're going to add some, I think, that are going to pop. So here's the inside of our card with those cute little die cuts. And here's the front. Now for the front, for the gems, I thought what would be really pretty would be to use the adhesive back sparkle gems. I like these gray or black, the dark gray, basic gray ones. So I'm going to pick up, and what I like to do with this distressed tile is to add them to an area on the tile that already has like a little debossed area. They kind of fit in really nicely, and they look like that's where they belong. And let's add one big one. We're going to go up, see if we can pick this little devil up here. There we go. It's on my finger. Let's pick that up. And let's come up right here. All right. So here's our finished card using the Stampin' Blends. This one was using blending brushes, and this one layer we use the daubers. So lots of ways you can use this. So let me bring you back to me. And you can see just really quick how you dressed it up. Here was just one layer, white on lemon lolly, but here I layered lemon lolly and white on black, and look at the difference. So let me bring you back to me. I hope you enjoyed this. I really had fun doing it. I have so many more ideas to share with you using this bundle. I hope you'll join me. I hope you stay safe, warm and well through the weekend. I'll be anxious to be back with you on Monday. And until then, take care. See you soon.